President Trump, you heard there. Let's talk about it later. I'm sure a lot of people out there watching the news, following and listening to the news are a little bit weary and tired, of course, of the back and forth. Should we stop talking about trade until they do it?
Well, I think we can't avoid it, especially since the midterm election is just weeks away itself. So clearly, we will see election rhetorics, and China is very firmly in center in the, I suppose, in the agenda itself. The question at this point is obviously this week, Golden Week for China, and they are off. How China will respond. I think for now, they have been quite calibrated in a response, and they know that a lot of these, mainly most of this, is really elections itself. They'll talk, I think, after the midterm election and see how the election result pan out itself, because it matters to China what happens with the U.S. and China trade front or relationship fronts.
What we've heard in the last 24 hours, the vice president with some very harsh rhetoric about China when it comes to election meddling, talking about Taiwan. Also with this Bloomberg scoop that we talked about, China infiltrating these U.S. companies. Do you think just like a compounding impact of all this, that we're beginning to see something more serious and bigger in this U.S.-China trade war?
Yeah, it is. I think the conclusion we are seeing, I think broadly, is that this is not going to go away itself. It's not just about trade. It is really about how China is being, I suppose, seen as a real threat as far as the global superpower in the U.S. case is looking in terms of where it is going to be heading to in the next decade or two itself. So it is going to be a lot more drawn out itself. So I think along the way we'll see very calibrated response from the Chinese side, in particular of how and what to do with the U.S. relationship at this point, even beyond Trump.